I'm Julie Mcnamara, and I am a comedian based in New York. Look at what I did for you!
Baby, I want an expensive car too. It's true.
Ice in there. Oh, wow. And I'm supposed to rub the, what's it called? Let's see. I am from Boston. I grew up there till became an adult. Then I went to school in New Jersey and then moved to the city right after and haven't left. So I guess I'm not leaving now. And I am an actor, singer, comedian. I'm a little too crazy to quit. And it was in recent years that I really fell in love with comedy, and that's been a whole new world for me. I just wanted to make you happy. That is all I ever want. Well, comedy specifically, I had just done an out-of-town children's theater gig and I had some money saved, and you know, when you're a struggling actor right out of school, you don't have that very often. I was like, I can pay rent for a few months, what else do I do? And I'd been wanting to take an improv class, and everyone told me like, oh, you'll enjoy improv, it's so good for your acting, which I cannot agree more with now that I've done it. And my roommate at the time told me about Magnet Theater and was like, oh, you should try a class there. And Magnet was one of the smaller schools I hadn't heard of, and took a class here and took all my improv levels here, and I also fell in love with musical improv here. And then I somehow kind of merged into sketch comedy, which is really like my home in theater.
I'll be honest, I didn't totally mind the demon torture.
It was excruciating.
Well, yeah, it was, but I kind of liked my demon. He was cute.
Brenda!
I'm sorry, I should have warned you earlier. My brother has a reoccurring case of sleep improvising. What?
When I discovered comedy, I learned that what makes me wacky is what makes me different, rather than trying to be, you know, one of 300 girls fitting a chorus role where they wanted everyone to look the same. So comedy's helped me discover, oh, what makes you different is what makes you unique, and that's the whole fun of it. And I think a community of people doing that is just the most fun thing, because we're all literally just trying to find ourselves and deal with life through comedy. Most important part is, number 1, learn your stuff. Number 2, be ready to make a choice. And number 3, make it big, because you can't tell if it works unless you try it. Just like performing, you gotta know your lines. And whenever possible, I try to learn my lines the night before filming. Sometimes that's not possible, but I try to at least, you know, even learn them on the train and then film when I get home, because I think you have to separate the I'm learning my lines and I am performing. Even if you have 3 hours turnaround, which actually did happen to me once. I think that was an unscripted audition, thank goodness, but that was a rough one. I did it, manager, okay? I got it in on time. But do at least 2 takes, just so, you know, you can explore a little and do something different. But that said, I have a rule. I try not to go above 3 takes unless like there's really something specific, because, you know, we actors are kind of self-critical. You can do 25,000 takes and still not have the one you like. I was working with a career coach, and I remember there was a theater doing a parody of The Brady Bunch, which is my favorite show as a kid, and I decided, oh, why don't I just, you know, write a parody of one of the Brady Bunch songs, and then I did the same for another parody show that was doing The Sound of Music. And I remember sending them to my coach, and she was like, you need to do a ton of these. These song parody videos are really cool. Like, you should do 1 a week. And I'm the kind of person, if you tell me you should do something, I'll do it just to prove I can.
These past 2 years have been so bad. Now war's gone wrong. How much more?
Snowing and blowing, they think is so fun. Now this movie.
It was a lot of work. I, you know, wasn't the best editor, so they were all like against my bedroom wall. And, you know, some of the songs were lacking, but I learned the fun of making comedy, making your own stuff, and that, you know, you just gotta consistently show up, and if 10% of it is good, you're doing great. So I have a solo show. It's called A Confessional of a Recovering Catholic. It's running about 50 minutes now, but it's, you know, it fits well in an hour block. It's also a musical. It has a lot of parodies of Catholic hymns. The concept of the show is I talk about why I'm recovering from my Catholic upbringing and the different adventures and trials that being raised Catholic it does to an average person.
I wish this Mass was over already.
I don't want to see my extended family trying to keep my mouth shut. It's definitely been a long time process, which is what I hear from others, and I encourage it for anyone thinking of working on a solo show. I was inspired by an old acting coach of mine who had a wonderful solo show. I think I saw hers back in like 2017. I got kind of inspired, and I was already starting to write song parodies, so I wrote a few parodies of Catholic hymns, and then was like, oh, I like writing the songs, but I should write a show to go with it. I just wrote a lot of more serious scenes, and you know, the theme of a one-person show is you act out a lot of different characters, and then you have some parts of the show that are just narration. So I wrote a mix of some narration, acting out some scenes from my life, and it just kind of lived on my computer for the first few months of 2020, you know, back when we all had a lot of time for creative projects. It was funny, I didn't really touch it for a couple of years. 2022 was when I first started doing stand-up, and stand-up was very scary, but it was very good for me artistically. And then I developed a bunch of go-to stand-up jokes, and a lot of them just seemed to be about Catholicism, and I noticed that's what my sets were. Early 2023, I applied for a solo com at the Pit and was like, all right, I'm gonna put my show up. And because I had a deadline, I had to write the show. My sketch director at the time, who's a wonderful person and a great mentor, I was like, hey, can you help me with this? And I had her watch the show and give me some notes, acting and writing, and learned, okay, I'm gonna put this thing up there.
Sexual contact between individuals involving penetration, specifically the insertion of a man's erect penis into a woman's vagina, typically culminating in orgasm and the ejaculation of... Julie Mcnamara, go back to your seat. Sorry, Mrs. Robertson. I was learning.
The real process for me with the show has been performing it, and I think that's what will really help in a one-person show. You know, you can sit and write. It's literally happened when I've tried to edit the show. I sit at my computer for 2 hours and go, I got nothing. I get up on my feet, and then I have a ton of things. Every time I perform it, I learn so much that I wouldn't have learned if I hadn't.
It's just me, marching perfectly, in this perfect dress. Everything's fine. It's fine. So happy. I don't like this dress. It is so tight. What if I spill something on it? Why is it so white? It's part of a pure Catholic tradition, because a bride can't be a hoe.
I would say just keep making stuff, even if it's terrible. If you have a terrible show where, you know, your timing's all off or your improvising involved Hitler, yes, that happened in a class show of mine. Hitler was the star of the show, and we were all like, how do we stop this? Just keep making it. You're gonna learn, you're gonna have fun, and keep making your art for you, because if you're not having fun and you're not happy with your life, what's the point to all of this? So we're not doing it for the money, that's for sure. So just keep going.
I'm gonna live my own way and enjoy all my days. It's time to break the chains I was